Today I'd like to show you part of a project. This is going to be part one of a few reassembly of a Delta Queen. This came in as a part machine that was previously disassembled, and I am reassembling it for somebody. I'm not in control of what was missing or anything. I've already started. They wanted the playfield cleaned and waxed, and they wanted it just assembled. So what I did is I cleaned and waxed the playfield, didn't go too hog wild. I started assembling with what parts I had. I did have to purchase another apron setup because that was completely missing when I got it. Later on, the owner did find the original top piece, which had the switch or the gate in the right place. This does not have a switch, as the one I got does. It actually has a switch in there, wires, and it's in a slightly different location. It's further down to the right rather than that one's up to the left. But I was able to use the two metal pieces used on back and this middle section, which luckily the stop is in about the right spot, so it would the wear hit wouldn't be obvious. I was able to reassemble that, clean and wax as best I could. I had these parts. I'm still missing a little piece here. I'm going to have to make that out of sheet metal later. And I haven't done too much to this other than clean wax the top. Now I did take the board out of the bottom, the electronics, and I vacuumed it out, and I also retrieved any pieces of metal, rubber, paper, anything that might be useful, and help me reassemble this, even if it's just for reference. I got the board. I'm going to do a little bit of work on that before I put it in, because why if it's out, why do work in here if I can just put it on a bench, clean all the contacts, check a few of the standard relays. I will show you what I do to that once I get that on the bench. Unfortunately, I do not have the right shooter gauge for this, so I am going to ask you guys a question. I have the apron, which hasn't been cleaned up yet, the correct apron. Shooter gauges, I got a few. I don't think the blue is going to go, so I am between the yellow with some red on it, or the red with yellow. So if you have a chance, look in make a comment, tell me which shooter gauge you think should go on this game, and I will listen to you guys. Now, I'll just show you the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to try to assemble the playfield. I want to try to get as many of these pieces on here as possible, see what else is missing, get the flippers put together, try to go through and service the bottom, lights, see what else I need. I'm going to be making an order for some parts. I like to get them all from one place that has everything, and then I can assemble this. I have prepared and started what I like to do before I assemble anything. It's easier to start with everything ready to go. I like using the ultrasonic cleaner. I've gone through and cleaned all the posts in ultrasonic. One of the flipper bats were good. I had a couple other ones that were in good shape. One of them was cracked, so I'm just using that to keep track of the two screws that go with the flipper. So this is originally the filthiness. So I'm going to use two out of the three of these. The guides, I don't even know if I have everything I need. I like just to line them all up by their size. Takes a little bit of extra time. I put them in here in paper towel so that they can stay dry and let the moisture dry. I like to do that a day before I try to assemble the. That way too, as I am working my way from the bottom to the top of the playfield, if I pick up a post and be like, yeah, you know, that kind of doesn't look the prettiest, try to position this towards the top of the playfield. The ones that maybe have more tarnishing, and try to put that farther away, so it gives the player, from the player standing position, a better view. I always have extra bulbs. I buy those by the box 100. Other thing I do is I take the screws and I do the same thing. I kind of line them up by style, size, head. I always check to make sure if I'm given or I have multiple different lengths, I want to know what are my different lengths. How can I choose where the right one to go is? This is a chrome flat. Now I notice there's a lot of posts. There's no T-bolts. There's nothing to hold those plastics on, so they must be held on through them, and which is going to be kind of interesting. It looks like might be a slingshot. So it's going to be a little different than what we're used to with modern pinball, where the posts that hold the plastic on also hold on the rubber bands. So we're going to have to figure that out. I don't have any rubber bands in it. It came with less parts on the playfield as we have now. Just so that you know, this is an example of a T-bolt on newer machines. This is going to be, hold that on. It could have a wood thread, it could have a metal thread, different gauges. There's all sorts of different sizes of these. So what we're going to run into here is these bolts are most likely going to be holding it on. Put that back so I don't screw up my organization too much. And last thing I need to do is I need to clean these plastics. Actually, I had them in one of these restaurant containers, and when I opened it up, it just stinks. So see, they're very dirty. This was sitting open, no glass on it, for years in the shop where it came from. So, so I'm going to show you how I like to clean these. Now they have this horrible dust, so I'm just going to use, to start off with, I just like to get that dust off quickly. I'm not going to spray them. I'm just going to wet a rag with a soap cleaner. I use Awesome. It takes off nicotine for cabinets and stuff. But notice I'm not spraying it on there. I want to just take that quick dust layer off. Just quickly. I don't want to rub it too much. I want to stay away from the paint because I don't know how this is going to react to the paint on there. That part you can hit it with the dry part of the paper. And to clean those plastics and give them a real nice polish, I like to use Novus 1. You can get that at your favorite pinball supply store. Novus 1 and Novus 2 are what you're going to need. What I do is just spray it down on a nice white cotton cloth or something like that. I'm just going to give it a good buff cleaning. I like to hold the back. I don't want to put this on anything scratch. It's going to scratch that paint. So it's already starting to look cleaner. You can see through it. Now the back, you can kind of see marks where soot from the light bulbs. I do spray that right on, and I just like to kind of use my finger as a brush. I don't want to scrub it too hard. I just want to try to loosen up any of that dirt or burnt on nicotine or burnt on dust off those bulbs. And then once clean it with the rag. Give a little extra special attention to that window area. You can see there's a little bit of scratching on it. Now if that really concerned me, now this is, I could take a little bit of Novus 2 and try to buff that out for what we're doing. I think that's going to be fine. And notice it is a little bit yellowed because it is not brand new. So I'm going to go through and clean all of these before putting them, before I even start assembling, before I start counting my screws. I'm pretty certain that these chrome flathead screws are going to be the ones that we use for the plastics, and I'm pretty certain that these are going to be used for these shorter posts. They're kind of more of a dish, and for these, I don't know, it's probably going to be these flatheads. I also have some machine bolts. There's going to be a little bit of experiment seeing where everything goes. Looks like the machine bolts have washers on them. I got 3 washers, and I got 3 bolts without washers. So all the machine bolts get washers. I got some shorter screws. These were put into the plank. They're like a number 8 screw. I don't think they're supposed to be in there. I'm going to keep them on the side, and I'll throw them in my parts box when I'm done. The screws look like they're generally a number 6 by 3/8. That's what holds all the mechanisms down, the ball trough pieces I already installed. There may be extras here. This one looks like a little long. That's just you know, kind of part of the fun of putting a game together. If you've enjoyed this video and want to see more of this project, please make sure you subscribe. Thanks.